everyone, I'm Captain Logan.
And I'm Eric.
And today I made Eric watch something. Eric, what did I make you watch?
Field of Dreams.
That's right, I made Eric watch Field of Dreams.
Which, you were shocked that I've never seen it? I don't know if anybody else... it seems like something people have probably seen.
Yeah, I was a little surprised by that. Just because I can't... I don't seem to be able to bring up very much that you haven't seen. And that's one of those really pop culture permeating, like if you build it, he will come, everybody knows that.
Which I didn't. I thought it was if you build it, they will come, which I'll get to when I talk about what I thought this movie was about before
weird.
I saw it.
Okay. That sounds like a tagline for a horror film that takes place on a farm with a corn in the background.
It actually fits kind of with this movie. I think I had Sandlot. I think that was like watching this movie, I'm like, oh, I probably had the exact same thing with Sandlot, like as you have with this movie.
Yeah.
With baseball and the baseball kind of being the mythology of America.
Yeah, exactly. And I wasn't a big baseball fan growing up.
Neither was I.
It's never been a huge thing for me, but it sort of has been with some movies, and that's kind of the big one. That was
I respect like that mythology aspect of baseball in American history.
Me too, yeah.
Doesn't make me want to watch baseball though.
Yeah, well, and I enjoy seeing baseball live, but
Which I've never done. I've always wanted to. Never done.
We'll totally do that. It'll be fun. I mean, I don't know a great deal about the game. I understand the most of the rules. I mean,
which I don't have with
main
football.
rules.
I don't understand the main rules of football. I do baseball.
Baseball's kind of simpler. And also, baseball's a thing that I think a lot of kids, at least in this country, end up playing like in elementary school.
Which I did. I played baseball for about 2 years when I was a kid.
Oh, really?
Yep.
But that was a game that seemed to come up even like at PE. You know, if you played PE outside, like a lot of the time. Like sometimes you'd end up with baseball. No? Okay.
I don't think so.
Cool. But anyway, so obviously the main reason I chose this movie was just for nostalgia and because Eric hadn't seen it before.
Is this your favorite movie?
No, it's not my favorite movie. It's one of...
Oh, we don't have the sign.
Oh, yeah. I'll grab it. You keep talking, Eric.
Field of Dreams, Field of Dreams Baseball. Kevin Costner, Wonderworld. Kevin Costner.
Great job covering for me. Was one of the reasons you were thinking Sandlot because of James Earl Jones?
No, probably it's the guy that plays Babe Ruth.
Yeah.
That was the big one. I mean, I knew James Earl Jones was in it because you told me. If you hadn't told me, I wouldn't have known.
Okay. But, is it weird how many things those two movies seem to have in common? At least just like sharing actors and things?
No, having seen this, it has to be intentional. There's no way Sandlot cast those people on accident.
And they weren't thinking Field of Dreams.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay, so I'm going to tell you, are you going to do a plot synopsis?
Yeah.
Okay, do a plot synopsis.
I'll do a quick plot synopsis. I imagine most people watching this have either seen this movie or know something about it, basic plot synopsis. This is a movie that I have talked about on the channel before. Vince and I did a commentary on it, and Jason has done a spoils video. So this might seem like a really obvious pick for me, but again, Eric hadn't seen it. I'm like, oh, I gotta make him watch it. So that's what we're doing here. Eric and I just keep making each other watch stuff, and we thought we might as well get some content out of it and let you guys hear us talk about it. But so Field of Dreams is Kevin Costner plays a guy named Ray Kinsella who had a not-so-great past with his dad and always regrets the way things ended with he and his father. He's also afraid that he's turning into his dad and that he's not leading enough of an interesting life, that he's not significant enough, and he's afraid that because his dad never did any kind of spontaneous thing, and we'll talk about that, that he feels like he's doing the same thing and that's because of his dad. I kind of like that kind of denial thing because I don't think he really has that at all. Mm-hmm. I think he's afraid of a thing that's actually not a problem for him, and that's a thing I like. But suddenly the occasion for story is a voice comes out of nowhere and tells him to build a baseball field, but does it very cryptically with also kind of an accompanying vision. So at first it's just, if you build it, he will come, and then he kind of is like, I don't know what you're talking about. And then after a while, finally, he just has a vision of it also.
Why didn't you lead with that?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know why you and it's like that all the way through. Like, why didn't you lead with that? And so anyway, he builds the baseball field, and then suddenly ghosts. and the ghost of Shoeless Joe Jackson shows up, and he thinks that's the whole reason he was supposed to build the field. But as it continues, the voice keeps talking to him, keeps having him do other things, helping people, and giving them opportunities to get the things that they have always wanted, which ultimately leads to his... oh no, I'm used to that with Vince.
That's why I was doing it.
Ultimately leads to his kind of getting to reunite with his dad. So what did you think this movie was about?
Okay, so I knew a little bit more going into this because you actually spoiled part of it for me on our trip. We were talking about it.
And I didn't mean to. I mentioned a thing I thought everyone knew, and you were like, oh wait, there's an actual disembodied voice?
Because in Jason Spoils' video, he says, and then a voice says, and I thought it was like a kid misunderstanding, and it was like a voiceover, where like somebody would start a sentence, and then like we cut to a different scene, there was a voiceover. I was under the impression...
That happens with Jason, because those people at the beginning of '89 are not Bruce Wayne's parents.
I was under the impression that this was a movie about someone who was trying to put together a baseball team, and then at like the end of the second act, like he doesn't know if anyone's going to come see them, and he has to build a baseball stadium. And if you build it, they will come see his team.
So you weren't expecting anything supernatural?
No.
Until I told you about the voice thing.
Yeah. And
that's probably why you were so surprised by that. You're like, oh wait. It's a genre film? I mean, it's sort of a genre film.
No, I was under the impression it was just like a sports movie. That's probably why I never watched it.
It's really a mainstream kind of literary fiction movie with one supernatural component.
There's a couple, and we used to write more things like that.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of like vague rules, but we also
really
used to write
vague.
like that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Connecticut Yankee in King Arthur's Court.
It's a conceit.
Yeah.
But the difference, I think, with this is that's just, okay, there's a conceit for the time travel, and then we explore a thing.
Sure.
This, it's like, there's a conceit. Like, I'm okay with just the voice. But then after that, you keep having these very specific supernatural things that happen with no explanation.
And there's one that contradicts really, really bad at the end.
I think so too.
There's the one that you mentioned while we were watching, but there's another one that I have an issue with.
Okay. Not a perfect movie. This is. I'll mention real quick a little bit of my background with this before we jump into it. This is a movie that, like I said, I'm really nostalgic for, and that for whatever reason I can't stop watching. I'm always super, super intrigued by this movie and just the atmosphere of it.
I was gonna say, I think that's one of the things this movie really has going for it is its atmosphere. It just, I don't know, it feels a very certain way. And even if this movie's terrible and I don't like it, which I'm not saying is what I'm saying.
Yeah,
but
sure.
even if that's true, James Earl Jones is having a ball in this movie. I don't know if I've ever seen him. He usually plays more. This is gonna sound weird. He usually plays a more grandiose character, but he's kind of bigger here.
He's eccentric.
He's able to loosen up. I've never seen him this loose before.
Yeah, what's cool is he's eccentric and kind of larger than life, but he's like a real person.
Yeah. You don't often see him play like a person.
And I love the conflict of the public persona everybody knows versus the guy, and how hard he's pushing against that public persona, and it really allows him to go big.
Yeah, he's the best part of the movie for me. I think it was great.
And I've always thought that. And when I think of James Earl Jones, this is the movie.
Oh, it's interesting.
That I always think back to, and probably was my introduction to him.
And
I imagine,
at least as a person. Would you see this before Star Wars or Lion King?
Well, definitely before Lion King, because I'm older than you.
You're older.
I mean, like Lion King was '94. I probably saw this movie when I was 6.
Okay.
So yeah, definitely. Star Wars, I'm not sure. Star Wars was one of those things that I didn't discover it late. It was one of those things that I saw on TV every now and again. Like I don't think
and I've watched Star Wars since I was 2. So that's a bigger thing for me.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah. So like if you watch it for the first time later, he seems like he's liable to just be kind of a secondary character that would come in and come back out because of how late in the game he comes. Like he's seated real early. Like he's seated in the first act.
Yeah.
But he's very much the beginning of the second act in our collecting him.
Yeah.
And then given the way Archie Graham plays, like he very easily could have like come in and come back out, or come in, been out for a while, come back in at the end.
And there's even a point where he could leave, where he's like, I'm gonna drop him off the bus. And he's like, oh no, I'm going with you.
Yeah. Yeah, he has an opportunity to do that. It's a little bit surprising that they become kind of the big friends in the movie.
Yeah.
He becomes almost the sidekick in a way.
I don't know if it's surprising. It's more surprising that it took that long to get there. Like, it feels like this should have been more of a road trip movie with the two of them doing something, gathering something.
Well, that's the tricky thing with it revolving around a stationary device.
Mm-hmm.
Where then you have to drive somewhere to go get people, but it revolves around a field we built at because you have to have that. That's the premise.
I must have known that this was at least slightly a road trip movie, because in my head, like, what I thought about this movie was that, like, the majority of the movie was going around getting players.
Oh. Interesting.
Yeah. I don't know where any of this is coming from, but that's what I always thought this movie was about.
Yeah, it's funny seeing this from your point of view, because, I kind of thought you had, like, zero expectations.
Well, I did after you told me that there's, like, an actual voice and stuff. Like, I was like, okay, well, I'm completely wrong. Like, everything I believe is wrong. I think the movie really works and is pretty good until the third act. I think things really kind of break down there. And in different ways, the farm didn't need to be up for... Given the conclusion of the film, the farm doesn't need to be up for... all of that stuff I would have cut. The farm doesn't need to be... like, in financial dire. And it's such
it's almost in foreclosure.
Yeah, and it's... The movie...
But the problem is that... I disagree. I think it kind of does. It's just that it's resolved too easily.
Well...
and I mean, you can argue about whether or not that resolution works, but the problem is, like, there has to be... Doesn't there kind of need to be some kind of a conflict beyond just this is all weird? Like,
I don't know.
Like, but it has to be a sacrifice
because it feels tacked on.
But it's there from the beginning. I mean, if we plow under our corn, we're not going to have enough money to survive.
Well, and
I think the line, when he goes to find Terrence Mann, I think like I'm in danger of losing my house and alienating my wife. Like, there need to be stakes. Yeah. Without that, no stakes at all.
I would have built it more on she thinks he's crazy, because the problem is...
Oh, but that's what I love about her, is that she doesn't, or that...
And she is a different character for the first act.
You think?
Once she has her big blowout at school, she becomes a much more lively, like, wild character. And maybe that's intentional. Maybe it's... Because she says it's like the 60s again. Maybe that's her getting it back. But she's a spitfire for the rest of the film, and I don't think she's that way.
She's more reserved before that?
Yeah.
Maybe it's just the rest of the movie, affecting my view of that, because I've seen it so many times, but, like, I've never really thought that.
But, so the reason I really don't like that conflict at the end, is two reasons. One, if that's going to be the conflict, you should have people pulling up. Like, that should be the end of the movie, is people pulling up and them watching the game. Like, it's... Like, I had to ask you...
they do, but...
But that should be the final scene.
And I'll tell you, I doubt... I mean, I saw it when I was a kid, but I could totally see why people wouldn't... I was going to say, I doubt I caught it. I could totally see why people would need 2 or 3 viewings before they're like, oh, that's what the lights are?
And I had to ask you. I couldn't... I was like, is that street lights or is that cars coming? And that was too many cars.
And you do see some... it's absurd. I mean, you do see some pulling in, and you can say, well, it's not absurd because it's like a cosmic event. Mm-hmm. But then you get into big issues. Maybe we'll talk about some of the stuff like okay, how often do the powers that be or God or whatever this is do this kind of thing
just to resolve someone's daddy issues?
That's the problem with it, right? And that's a really like obvious kind of cliche thing with a movie like this.
Which is why I think the movie should end with people coming, because it should be he gets his resolution out, he gets something out of it. The movie's about this is a lot about the 60s and a lot of that stuff. The film should end with people coming and rediscovering the child like they say it's going to happen.
So you're saying we need to see that on people's faces?
Yeah, absolutely. It needs to be, because that's what the film's about. It feels like that's what the film's supposed to be about thematically.
In a way, it's almost too big as far as the supernatural cosmic stuff goes, because when you get to the end, you have all this really weird, unexplainable phenomenon of all these cars where none of these people would know would have any idea why they were there except for a voice told them to go there, or even they're possessed by the entity, like whatever the voice
Which
is.
is how James Earl Jones frames it. He's like, they'll give you money and they won't even realize
they won't even know why. Yeah. Although I do like that line, for it is money they have and peace they're lacking. I like that. But there's that, and then there's also James Earl Jones' character is going to get to go into the afterlife and come back and write about it.
There's
So, like, if anybody believes him, and maybe they wouldn't, because he hasn't written in forever, and it's people talking about the afterlife. But I guess the point I'm making is, if anybody believed him, as you say, this entity or the creator or whatever it is, helping to resolve Kinsella's daddy issues becomes the way we as a society touch the afterlife.
Yeah,
I don't like that.
Well, but to stay on the topic of the why I don't like the house stuff.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry.
Why I don't like the house stuff is we have this big dramatic moment where like we're cutting to his eyes, and then we're cutting to the baseball field, then we're cutting to the brother, then we're cutting to the baseball field. It's like, what's he gonna do? Well, we know what he's gonna do because there is no choice. The entire movie, he has thrown caution to the wind. Why would we think at this moment he wouldn't? He already, in the face of losing his farm, has done crazy things. And I never believe that there's even a chance that he won't.
I agree. And at that point, why would he listen to the brother over the entity? Because you can tell that, I'm just going to call it the voice, whatever. You can tell that is, from the moment it starts happening, you can tell that it's the voice speaking through, for whatever reason now, the daughter and
I don't
Terrence
like that.
Mann. Like, when she says people will come, that is another of the voice's messages, just like,
and I don't like that, because that seems...
go the distance.
That seems so strange and arbitrary.
And a lot of it is arbitrary.
Well, but at least that was consistent, and we know James Earl Jones heard the voice when they go to the baseball game.
Are you okay with the vision at the baseball game where he has on the stat board?
Yeah, that doesn't bother me.
I mean, he at least had kind of a vision of Shoeless Joe. My whole thing is just, a lot of that is for dramatic effect, right? It's like, and again, like, I really like it for ambiance.
Well, and it's interesting because, and I said this to you while watching it, because it's based on a book. A lot of it feels like it would play a lot more in prose.
Yeah. And I've never read that.
I don't know if I don't know if I would want to read that whole book, but there's sections that I want to see if they...
How he handles it.
Yeah, and I have to believe that ending is a little different.
It would have to be. And it's been a while since I've looked at the behind-the-scenes stuff, because there's some things about that, and there's some stuff that they changed that he was... I can't remember if there was stuff that he wasn't on board with, or things they had to convince him of, or whatever.
The writer?
But the writer was somewhat involved with the movie.
Oh, okay. Okay, so here's my biggest issue with the ending. Why doesn't his dad know who he is? Because everyone else is aware that they have died.
He does.
Oh, I got the impression that he didn't.
Well, he calls him Dad at the end.
But his dad doesn't know who... He just kind of is like, hi, I'm...
I feel like part of that is for the sake of dramatic effect, and maybe because it's kind of awkward for the both of them, so they don't want to... Because, remember, like, these are like, man's,
no,
right?
I get that.
They're not gonna... They're kind of playing it as if it's still what it's been with the rest of the baseball players, but at the end when he says, Dad, would you like to have a catch? He's almost in tears at that point. He clearly knows that he's his dad. And also remember that...
okay, I did read this.
For this to be consistent, it's the only thing that makes sense, otherwise he would be like, what are you talking about?
Well, that's the issue. That's the issue I had with it, was that everyone else is aware of their death, they're aware that they're not...
Yeah, and
it didn't seem like he
And they
was.
all get to come back in their prime. Except for Graham at the end for some reason, which we should talk about. We have talk earlier about how Shoeless Joe put on some pounds when he got older, and the spring was lost from his step. And then he's in his prime. He's in his mid-20s. He's obviously at least 10 years, if not more, younger than Ray is. But he knows about all of the legal stuff and the throwing of the games and his death. So like the dad has to.
Well, and I was kind of thrown by Shoeless Joe a little bit because he's played with Ray Liotta, who's always a scumbag. and I was kind of waiting for something.
And once again, this was my introduction to Ray Liotta, and I'm not used to him being a scumbag. So in other things I've seen him in, I'm like, why does he always play bad guy?
But yeah, so like I was kind of like, okay, something's gonna happen with this. Like he's gonna be doing something. No,
Nope.
He's just a ghost. He's just a ghost. So do you want to talk about the thing with the
doctor
with the rules and the rocks? And
so there's no rules, right? It's funny. We're kind of sitting here criticizing this movie really hard,
it's just the ending.
Yeah, exactly.
And if like
it could have come together.
Yeah, I'll say like if I'm giving it, I'm feeling it. It's just
that's cool. I didn't know if you would read this too sappy. I didn't know if you'd be like, I couldn't take this movie seriously.
Even
it's
the dad
too sappy.
even the dad thing, I don't think is too sappy. It's that shouldn't be the end of the movie. That should be the thing he gets.
I don't like it's you, no Ray, it's you. Like I don't like that whole thing.
Because I mean, again, this is supposed to be like a big cosmic occurrence, seemingly. It makes way more sense with the themes of this film for it to be a big thing where people come and rediscover their youth and what they've lost watching this baseball game. And as an added bonus, the guy that made it all happen gets to spend some time with his dad. That shouldn't be the crux of the film. I really like...
we'll make it all much smaller than that.
Yeah.
In the first place.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, at the end of the day, it's a father-son story. I mean, or at least that's what it's supposed to be.
Well, and I love the way he talks about his dad.
Yeah.
I love where he's like... He always refers to him as getting old, but he's like 36. He's like, by the time my dad was my age, he's ancient. There's a lot of really good... I really like a lot of that dialogue where he talks about his... I like how he talks about his dad.
And that's the thing that I think kind of has to resonate with like most men as they get older.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, maybe I wouldn't have thought this if I'd watched this, a month ago, but I just did something big and crazy.
Yeah.
Like that. That had to resonate with me at least a little bit. Of the, okay, I haven't done anything, for my entire life. I'm gonna do this big crazy thing and see what happens. Like
you just uprooted and moved to some place you don't know.
Yeah.
If anyone is still confused about this, by the way, Eric does live with me.
Yeah.
Is that okay for me to say?
Yeah.
Like I feel like
people keep asking.
Yeah, I thought we made it pretty clear, but anyway.
No. I uprooted and I moved in with Cap, who I've never met before. So like I did
person.
I did this really crazy thing, and so like maybe it would have seemed hokier to me if I hadn't just done something crazy.
Part of the reason I say that I think this is a guy who is afraid of something that isn't happening as much as he's afraid it is. Although I also can totally sympathize with why he feels the need to build the field.
Well, but he did do what his father did, which is he got in a line of work that he wasn't actually passionate about, and that's just what he's doing.
Okay, that's true. I was just going to say in that he wasn't a farmer and he wasn't sure about that and he tried it. That seems maybe, but you're right. If that's just like a thing he fell back on, where he didn't actually try to. No, you're right, because he didn't actually try to fulfill his dreams.
Yeah, no, he just became a farmer, and we're told he doesn't like farming. We don't ever really see that, but we're told that.
Yeah, I kind of wish we'd seen some of that, and maybe it's a thing that's actually too easy for him, because you see how easy he builds a baseball field all by himself.
Yeah.
It's not especially realistic.
No, that doesn't bother.
No, that doesn't bother me either. In fact, I never thought about it until you were like, "Wow, he did all that all by his life. How did he get those?" Well, actually, I think we see the guys put the lights up, but
no. Well, we see a crane drop it. As far as I could tell,
he's behind it. He just rented it. No, got crane rental somewhere.
There is like a fairy tale whimsy to it.
Yes.
That makes a lot of the leaps in logic acceptable to me, or at least not an issue.
Yeah.
And the fact that there's no real consistent rules, that doesn't really bother me. Like I can kind of poke at it, and like the daughter falling is really bad. Like just falling out of nowhere and then choking and.
See, I never minded the inconsistent rules as far as. Like, we don't really know what the afterlife is.
The fact that we abducted someone, turned them into a ghost, and then an old man ghost, and then kicked them out.
I don't understand
That's weird.
That's going a little too far. Like, if things can kind of just happen...
Why don't more things just happen? See, okay, so if we're gonna...
What we're talking about is the fact that we see an old man, and then he turns into a 20-year-old,
maybe?
and he's on the side of a road. What do you mean, maybe?
Well, because they
Well, it's just him again. I mean, I don't even... He has no memories of himself being older. He's the one exception to that, but I don't think he's a ghost. I think he's reborn as a 20-something.
Yeah.
He thinks he's in the 40s or whatever. Or the 30s or whatever.
Does he think he's in the 30s?
He has to. Because remember...
I got the impression he was just a teenager.
No. Remember, he says there's... I've heard about these towns where you can go and play baseball and they'll put you up.
Oh.
And then when he's sleeping in the back, you hear Ray in the front talking to Terrence Mann, and he says, they haven't done that for forever.
Okay. Yeah, I missed that. Okay, so he is just, like, transported. And everything around him's weird, because, who's the main guy?
Ray.
Ray just steps into 1972.
And comes back without any transition.
Yeah.
He's just in the hotel room.
Yeah.
So the entity sent him there for the duration he needed to talk to Archibald. And
it does that thing where, like...
And it's like, if someone... Okay, so Ray can do... It keeps having the opportunity to make choices for himself.
Mm-hmm.
But if someone else doesn't take the leap and go with him... The voice just, like, alters things and makes it happen for him.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of an issue.
Well, and it's especially weird because you were in another time period. Like, it wasn't like it was a real person who really made a choice. You were talking to, like, an echo of a person.
I'm assuming unless he actually went back in time.
Yeah. I think it might work. I mean, this would alter the movie, but if it's more of a road trippy movie, he should have been meeting people along the way. Like, he should have met Shoeless Joe and then bring them all back to the baseball field. Yeah,
where it's like, if you build it... And wouldn't it have been interesting if, like, he was sitting around for a few months on the baseball diamond and then found out, oh, I'm supposed to go somewhere.
Yeah.
Oh.
Well, especially because so much time passes, because we go through an entire winter.
Now, I'm with you. The reason a lot of that mythology stuff never really bothered me is because it's a character study.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a decent... I mean, it's a pretty good one.
Mm-hmm.
And like, so that's the thing that really kind of gets me through the whole thing. I liked the relationship with his wife a lot.
I do too. I wish there was a little bit more with her. I feel like there must have been something cut, if not from the film, from the book. I would imagine in the book we spend a little bit more time with her while he's on the road, because in the movie we just cut back the one time.
And isn't it kind of weird that? And I guess there's no real chance for it in the third act because of what's supposed to be the looming, conflict, looming, problem. The farm's about to go away. We have to like ticking time bomb. But with as passionate as she is about censorship and about Terrence Mann specifically, she never gets an exchange with him. Yeah,
I thought that was a missed thing. She doesn't even really, like, speak to him.
No, she doesn't really get to. She's just, like... And they should... If she doesn't get to say much to him, at the very least, they should play it as kind of starstruck.
Yeah. Or somehow she needs to be responsible for him going with him. Like, his wife calls, and he puts her on the phone.
That would have been good, if there was a conversation between them.
Yeah, something.
Have her a little bit more proactive and part of the story, because I feel like they do everything they can to make her as proactive as possible without actually letting her get to do very much. But, like, she feels really necessary to the story, and then when you really start to pick it apart, I don't know how necessary she is.
She's necessary on a character level, because he wouldn't do it without... Yeah. But I like her. I feel like I know her from something, but I can't remember.
We should have looked that up before this, but yeah, I feel like
a great Lois Lane.
I've watched. That's great. Yeah, I feel like I've watched one or two things with her. Afterwards.
But yeah, so I like this movie quite a bit. That was fun.
That's great. I feel like I'm sitting here being more critical of this than I ever have before.
It's really just all that third part.
Yeah, just because I was watching with you, and it's funny because, like, you'll watch a thing with someone and you'll kind of try to gauge them, and I was having a very different experience with it because I thought I was picking up on what you were experiencing, and that was kind of altering my experience with it, and your review is so much more positive than I thought it was going to be. Like, when we got to the end, I really thought you were just going to rip this apart.
No, I don't like the third act.
Like I knew you would have things that you liked about it, but I really thought that your review would be kind of, well, it's too sappy and I can't really take it seriously, but here's the things I like. That's what I thought you were going to say.
No, and maybe, like I said, maybe it's just, like, this is the exact right time I should be watching this movie.
It's neat that it resonated with you in any way.
And it's probably, like, This is weird, but like it's probably because I love The Sandlot so much. Like maybe if I didn't watch The Sandlot as a kid, and this was a completely cold experience for me, like I kind of have something that's in a similar vein from my childhood that also has weird ghosts, because the ghost of what's his name? Most famous baseball player of all time.
Of Babe Ruth.
Yeah, Babe Ruth. The ghost of Babe Ruth just shows up out of nowhere and says, "Do this."
Oh yeah, and see that's funny because like I don't love that movie. Like I saw it once and it was like just okay, and I don't feel the need to revisit it. But I probably liked that movie more because of this,
or less because you already had this.
Maybe so, actually. I don't know.
But yeah, so
but James Earl Jones always helps.
Yeah, that's true, and he's not until the end of that movie. Maybe part of it is that I had a similar kind of film that I already have a personal affection for, going back to my childhood. But I don't know. Maybe I shouldn't like this movie, but I enjoyed it fine. I liked it.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, everybody, thanks so much for watching. We sure appreciate it. I guess next time Eric is going to make me watch something.
Do I tell them what it is?
No, let's wait on it. Let's keep it.
Okay.
Let's keep it a surprise this time.
All right.
Yeah.
All right.
Just because we had talked about making more of them.
Yeah. That way we can kind of watch ones that we can watch with kids when we watch them, and we don't have to worry about.
Yeah, we can strategize a little bit more. But anyway, thanks a lot for watching, folks. We sure appreciate it. We'll be back again with you real soon. I'm Captain Logan.
And I'm Eric.
Bye.